Hello everybody and welcome to RPG Horror Stories. Today we've got a story from Armanzo, and as usual, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hell, leave your own horror stories in the comments down below or in the Discord. And there's a chance I'll read yours tomorrow. Now, on to the next story. What's your best trying to introduce non-D&D RPGs to D&D player horror stories, with a couple of bonus ones. I'm not sure if it is just my luck or if D&D's domination of the US market, but I can't seem to start a proper game of anything other than Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. There are so many RPGs out there, and the groups I play with seem to not be very interested in any of them. Besides one-shots or filler games when the normal Dungeon Master is taking a break. Yes, I have found groups just as tired of D&D and Pathfinder as I have been, but the COVID has killed nearly all of them off. I don't have stories long enough for their posts, but here are the ones I could remember. Stargate SG1, no one knows how guns work or command structures, for that matter. So that you know, Art Monster, you're still going to be getting the same criticism I would give a normal original poster. Just being a viewer does not exempt you. I was a fan of the show, as well as my dad and the person who got me into the hobby, who had bought all the books of the official RPG. He loans me the books, and I started my own Stargate 1 game. The game does not last that long, about 2 sessions. A Session 0 training course, and the first mission, a generic search and retrieval mission, during a battle between replicators and local system lords, due to 2 issues, one of which was the firearms. Despite holding a training session, no one seems to know how to utilize them properly. Everyone would fire at 30 or so feet away, despite most guys being able to fire from over half a mile away. Even the non-combat character's handgun had a longer range, so he didn't need to be in the front of the rest of the team. Most annoying being a player who normally plays fighters would run up to point blank with a shotgun regardless of how dangerous it was to be. It was swarms of replicators or Jaffa attack team, and he would just try to power attack it like it was a great sword. This guy was in the Marines, so you should think he knows how guns work. Out of the 4 of them, the guy who was normally the ranger in most of our D&D games seemed to get it better having the built to be the team sniper with an anti-material rifle from 300 feet away, and had to remind him that he couldn't fire it without being prone, to the point that he was knocked prone everything that he was using it with, and he nearly downed himself due to eating dirt so often. So here's the thing with this story. Yeah, D&D characters are used to being within 100 feet for most of their attacks. I think the farthest range that most players are going to be able to feasibly attack from without much investment is going to be 120 range, 120 feet. I think, and even then, I think you have disadvantage in that circumstance if you don't have the correct features or stats to be able to do so. So I can actually understand this, and then I can also understand the fighter just running into point blank with the shotgun, because he's a fighter player. He's used to always being up close and personal, taking all the damage. But I've never played Stargate, and even I can tell that when everything can shoot almost half a mile away, this isn't a good idea. Shoot, if anything can shoot you from a click out, generally you want to be shooting at it from about a click out. You don't want to be exchanging blows that close if they can hit you from that far away. They got back through the Stargate with one of them knocked out and everyone else heavily wounded, with a second player KO due to no one calling in the hostile death machines blowing after them. The base commander started to chew them out for bringing replicators onto the base, and the fighter taking this says, I have always to do this for my commanding officers, and blows off Hamon's head, restarting combat as the fighter was killed outright. The non-combat got taken in to be court-martialed, and the other two were taken to medical. They all seemed okay with this turn of events and decided to join the local league play. They were interested in trying it for a game or two before the local D&D league opened up in the store. We played it, and they thought it would be rude to tell me outright they weren't that interested in my game. Game 2. What do you mean there's no crack? Another group I was in had some downtime between Pathfinder campaigns as the normal dungeon master was recovering from a mix of burnout and, in real life, flu. So I volunteered to play a short game for them. Bulldogs Fate RPG, seeing how burned out everyone was from making the most min-max characters possible, and a rules-light campaign would be fun. Everyone agreed to try it after explaining that it was like Futurama but more cartoony. Some character creation, two of the three players were confused at how freeform the situation was. No classes, abstract skills pyramid, character aspects deciding what bonuses they can get, and even why they're using strange dice, fudge dice. The third player, who was a drama major, got their character finished early. A scroll thing. You know, kind of like Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank. In terms of being a combat engineer who was one too much things explode near him to work for the bigger delivery corps. The other two were trying to figure out how to min-max for the system that was very much not built for min-maxing. They have trouble getting how free-form everything was, that the stunts were feats, and nothing is set in stone as in the other games. I think the thing that I poorly explained out of all of this was the fate tokens, which will come into play later. I and the actor got one of them to understand it enough to make a space centaur, based off of his Pathfinder centaur cavalier, who was too big and intimidating to find work on proper freighters. The third player decided, despite the warning from all of us, he was going to min-max. So, how does one min-max in a game as free-form as Fate? He made the most generic character possible. His core aspects for stuff were like killer shape and empty void of nothingness, shapeless. Character was like a 2D humanoid silhouette. I think he was going for like Slender Man or some shit. Never got an answer in the affirmative as to that, but he tried to keep it as vengeful as possible. Even his mannerisms were bland as fuck, leaving one-word replies or just pointing. I can't even remember if he gave a reason why his character was even on the crew other than to feel the veins of the galaxy. At this point, we were 2 or so hours in, and wanted to get into the introduction of the game. The warm-up session was that the crew were going to meet their boss, get set up with not at all questionably salvaged ship, and some comparable weapons that are being held together with space duct tape and prayers. Minmaxer seemed visibly uninterested in any sort of roleplay, and out of the game asked to speed things up as much as possible. Even the mission brief was too long for him. The other two players wanted to ask more questions about the delivery and where they were heading. The mission itself was to collect signage on a package that a delivery crew from 200 years ago forgot to get the first time around. The company was getting fined by the Galactic Postal Service for the incomplete delivery, and the person who had to sign for it disappeared on a warship that disappeared in battle. Which wasn't too uncommon, as there was an interstellar war where collapsing stars and 2 black holes was pretty commonplace. The ship has reappeared again on the edge of known habitable space, and the crew were aboard to find the guy out dead or alive and get him to sign the document either way. The ship in question was full of radioactive zombies, caused by the package in question being a poorly made nuclear-powered lamp. The crew wakes the zombies up, trying to get the emergency status pods in the hopes of finding the guy. Sounds fun, right? Well, 2 out of the 3 players would say so. Minmaxer hated every fucking moment of it. He hated that I didn't seem to give him as much fate tokens as the others for triggering their aspects, despite playing into his aspects as much as possible, which, mind you, were generic edgelord fluff. He hated that there wasn't a proper monster manual to the setting, so he could not visualize the monsters at all, or any kind of feel of them without some kind of stat block. His complaining on his end ruined one of the planned mini-boss fights that I felt like I did a good job of foreshadowing. The reanimated body of the captain second in command, and a monstrous Catar. Like a centaur, but swap horse for cat and make the human part more beastie. Here's how the convo went. Me, as you lock the door behind and start to seal it with welding irons, you take note of the buzzing of computers and the holographic map in the center of the room coming into clear vision as the pile of dead bodies gain that same sickly green glow, while the others that you have faced so far. As they begin to move away from the pile, the corpses begin to laugh and wag in glee. The monstrous alien from atop the pile begins to glow. Plasma starts to fill out the bones as it stands on its 4 paws and goes for its double-headed laser sword. And wait, how can it hold anything on its hand? It's on all 4s? Okay, let me finish. And his laser in its right hand, and the plasma skin lights up its upper body to see a very cat-like. Wait, upper body is cat-like? What about its lower body? Is it not cat-like? Its lower body is that of a puma. Except the head in the description I gave you when the first entered the room. So that Cator looking thing from earlier. Yes, it's a zombie Cator. What the hell is a Cator? I didn't see anything like that in the Fate core book. It's like a centaur, but cat instead of horse from the name of it. Is this some kind of strange homebrew thing? Fate kind of has that you make all of your own stuff. It's kind of the point of the whole system. You have to homebrew everything? That sucks. At least D&D has illustrations for what the hell you're facing at the time. I still don't know what the hell is a gamma zombie anyway. Radioactive zombies. That's not a good description. Actually, you could also just say, you know, the ghouls from Fallout. That's basically what they are. So I pulled out my phone and showed him rogue pics of what a Cator and Gamma Zombie were, and it didn't help. Those spooky, scary skeletons and motherfucking fur faggotry. This is why I love fantasy RPGs more than sci-fi RPGs. You don't have to deal with them as this type of perverted shit. Centaur and Actor look at him for a good bit as they try to give some counterpoints to fantasy's use of sex, but the Minmaxer shifted focus back to the game as we were taking too much time away from the game on this nonsense the DM started. This took a lot of air out of the already partially filled tire that was the one-shot. The Minmaxer also tried to abuse the fate tokens as much as possible, as they let him take control of the session when used. As the others were using them as intended, for example, the Actor using them to better his engineering checks, add more crawl spaces to the ship, and the Centaur using them to re-roll the combat checks, or add aspects to otherwise difficult encounters like well-posted directions and the maze-like hallways, or unstable biopecs on the gamma zombies themselves. So this dude's literally like a badass. He's used his fate tokens to alter reality so that there's literally a target on these guys' backs. Why is the Minmaxer throwing a fit? Minmaxer just used his points as soon as they got on the board the ship to make it that none of the party's aspects can be activated, which can be both good and bad, and remove the infectious aspect of the zombie virus on the basics like zombie viruses are so common that we have like vaccines or some shit like them. And any points I give to him, mostly to stop him complaining to me about never getting any fate points, were used to remove as much challenge as he can from the game. So wait, hold up. Minmaxer literally just destroyed the other two people's characters with fucking his fate points because he didn't want to try and understand the system? Why didn't you just boot him out the session then, Artmonza? Bro. Well, I mean, like, this is a year old, so you probably haven't been here long enough to have me, you know, drill that into your head, you know. Yeah, no, this player's a dick, so just retcon that shit and kick him out. I can forgive that. That said, this is also really fucking long. It's like really fucking long, longer than a lot of the other extra long stories that I've been reading. And I'm like having to stop for water every now and then. The only creative thing I saw the Minmaxer use was his fate tokens being used for old weapons bay of the ship. The only creative thing I saw the Minmaxer use his fate tokens for was, oh, okay. So I see what he's trying to say. The only creative thing that the Minmaxer tried to use his fate tokens for was stocking the ship full of D&D weapons. That's what's going on. D&D and 40k weapons. That's what's going on. Kind of okay. The game slogged to a close as the crew had a heroic escape with the signature of the ship's janitor, the only surviving member of the crew, and the guy who ordered the nuke lamp that caused this entire mess to begin with. Before we even got back to the station, Minmaxer left the table completely, making the wrap-up a bit awkward, but overall, it was a good end to the one-shot. A few days later, the old DM and Minmaxer were gathered. The two players that enjoyed the game couldn't make it to life, but they said that they would be okay with playing whatever. And they were discussing starting back up playing and who would be running the next game. I brought my ideas for expanding on the one-shot or even going into other settings in the Fate core system. The old DM asked how the one-shot went, and the Minmaxer cut me off to say that it sucked balls and no one had any fun at all. That the game was a homebrewed mess with unrealistic monsters and blatant fur faggotry. That was clearly sexual, which now I'm thinking about it, that was some fucking bullshit. Coming from the guy who made a min-max 9-foot-tall lizard folk whose main character traits behind being a murder machine was trying to keep warm by dabbling with NPCs he was trying to mate with that week. I was silent long enough that the old DM was not reading my shock very well. Decided to have me skip most of my non-D&D and go back to Minmax's game ideas. He had no interest in running games at all, but knows it can't be anything other than Pathfinder or D&D, as they were the only good games out there, in his opinion. Of course, Minmaxers hate when you nerf them. Fuck you, Coffee Locks. When I came to, I decided to pick the only normal games I had planned. That was Adventure Paths, Kingmaker, the Nation Builder game, Carrying Crown, and Skull and Shackles, a good old-fashioned pirate quest. The Minmaxer shot every single one down for not having the spirit of what proper D&D is, and the old DM had read the modules already and didn't feel like he can play without spoiling them. To make an already long story short, the half-burnt-out DM ran a game that he wasn't very passionate about. Other players didn't like that we were getting the same hack-and-slash mess like the last game, and they were mad when I let them know what the Minmaxer said about the game at our idea meeting. I think I was the first to lead the campaign mostly, as I wanted to build up shops and townships in the barren wasteland of our setting, and the Minmaxer wasn't having that at all. Instead, trying to steer the group away from anything that was not dungeon delving. The game did not last long after that, as the Minmaxer's mood swings were getting on everyone else's nerves. The Minmaxer did apologize for steering the plot so hard and lying about the other group members' opinions on the one-shot, as he said he was dealing with bipolar and girlfriend problems and took them out on us. However, he did not apologize for shouting homophobic slurs because of his Christian beliefs that didn't let me tolerate anything that is a simple lifestyle choice. I don't play with him anymore, personally, and I generally avoid him when I see him on the street as much as possible, because his pure Christian lifestyle led to him being fired from his job, his girlfriend kicking him out of their lease, and now he's homeless on the streets, as he continues to burn and burn and burn bridge after bridge in the name of God. Well, I think that there's definitely something that could have been done here, Artmonso. As I've been saying somewhat recently, it's never a good idea to be silent when you've got somebody that's an asshole in your party. You do need to speak up. However, I personally think that the better move would have been to call his bluff and call the other players up during the idea meeting and be like, hey, yeah, no, they did not say this. I'll let you talk to them yourself. Other than that, if you had the choice, I would have kicked that person out of the party entirely, because ultimately, that person, the Minmaxer in this Fate campaign, ended up absolutely ruining the entire party. They're the reason that everyone left. I would also want to say that Fate is an extremely open-ended system. Minmaxers almost never do well in it. I'm surprised that the rest of the party had fun. So don't feel too beat up over it. There's a lot of Minmaxers who act like that with Fate. As for the Stargate side of things, I've never played Stargate. So, shit, I've never even watched the show. So I'm not sure what to expect. All I know is that when I'm playing like Arma 3 or something like that, if somebody is shooting at me from 1 click out, I'm going to try and shoot them from 1.2 clicks out. Even if I literally do not have the range on my rifle, I would rather be wasting the ammo, shooting at them, and hoping that they try and come closer, than running up and taking that bullet. That's all we have for today. Much love, stay sexy, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There won't be a stream today. There may be one tomorrow. It depends on how fast I get this rigging project done. It should be fairly quick. I'm almost finished. It's, finishing touches type shit. But hey, much love, stay sexy, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye!